Welcome back to another episode of the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. I am Cynthia Jamieson, leadership, life, and career growth coach, and your host. And I'm so happy that you are here. I said this before, I look forward to these conversations. And as we approach the summer solstice, which is such a moment that is ripe for reflection and renewal, I invite you to take stock. How are you? Are you where you expected to be? If not, what's standing in your way? I was receiving this query myself earlier on in the week, and I thought, what a beautiful gift to give to you. Because taking the time to answer these questions or these types of questions can really provide valuable insights and align your actions with your goals if you're willing to look. And I love how this opportunity for self assessment can really serve as a prelude to today's conversation, which is going to be all about changing how we lead. So, what I want to do today is explore how key insights from the 2024 Gallup Workplace Survey can guide us in transforming our leadership approach to better meet the needs of ourselves, our teams, and our organization. And I will put the link to the Key Insights report in the show notes so that if you haven't had an opportunity to take a look at it, to read it, lots of leaders, I realize, don't have access and maybe don't geek out on those sorts of things like Cynthia likes to geek out on them. So, all that to say, this episode is a call to action for all leaders. New, emerging, or seasoned, it doesn't matter. It's a call to you to rethink how we, as the collective, approach leadership in the face of growing workplace stress and organizational challenges. So, first, let's set a little bit of context because I don't believe that we can effectively lead others until we learn to lead ourselves. So, what I'm really talking about here is self leadership, which isn't something I've spoken about specifically or directly on the podcast before. But like leading a team or leading a family, self leadership involves a deep understanding of your strengths, weaknesses, values, and goals. It is about being accountable. It's about setting positive examples for those that are watching us, that are observing us, and continually striving for personal growth. By mastering our own self leadership, how we lead ourselves, it's through there that we gain the clarity and the confidence needed to guide our teams, our families, or others through challenges. And when we do that, we not only bring them through the challenge, but we inspire them towards success. This is a foundation of self awareness and self discipline. And those two things are crucial because those things enable us to lead with authenticity, with empathy, and with integrity, which are essential qualities for fostering trust and driving meaningful change, which is what this podcast has always been about. It's really, truly about helping you be able to trust yourself, drive meaningful, positive change in a way where you are you. So, with that, let's get started. So, as I mentioned, this report came out. So, last week I read it. It is the 2024 State of the Global Workplace Report, and it really struck a chord with me. Why? Because we're living in such a paradoxical time where humanity, on the one hand, humanity is progressing, and on the other hand, our mental health is rapidly declining. And this isn't surprising given the pace which we're moving. When you think about the amount of information that humans are exposed to today compared to our ancestors, it is staggering. Like I was doing some research on this, and there was some research by the University of California that suggested that the average American, which I mean, I'm Canadian, but bear with me here. We can use the rule of thumb. The average American consumes around 34 gigabytes of information every day. Every day. That's roughly the equivalent of 100,000 words, which is a dramatic increase from a decade ago, especially a few decades ago. So in contrast, our ancestors, like I think about like my grandparents, they might have encountered a fraction of that data throughout their entire lives. So it's estimated that the average person in the 15th century might have come across approximately 50 books worth of information in their lifetime. Now, just think about that for a second. 50 books in the information of their whole life. I mean, I've read, I think it was like 30 some books last year. I'm probably on track to read, I've probably read as many as those this year. This is incredible, right? We are in the days of digital media, social network. We are like 24/7 news cycles. We are on all of the time. And this growth in information availability underscores the challenges of living a modern life. It also emphasizes the importance of critical thinking and discernment in navigating today's complex information landscape. So you might be asking yourself, Cynthia, why are you sharing this? I promise I am going somewhere with it. So just bear with me. Bear with me, please. Bear with me. Now, according to the Gallup report, 41% of employees are experiencing, quote unquote, a lot of stress. Now, stress impacts mood and civility within the workplace. So, just this weekend, I was at a bookstore and two employees were talking about how angry their boss gets. And they were using these terms like every time he comes in, he's angry. We don't know what he's angry about. We don't know what to do with him. We don't know what to do for him. Now, they were thinking about strategies that they could use to cope because they need their jobs. And while they were concerned for him, they referred to him as a him, by the way. But while they were concerned for him, they were also concerned for themselves and their well being. And I share this small example because poor management practices, which is basically any practice or behavior that has a negative impact on employees, like this, exacerbate feelings of stress, so much so that in environments with such practices, according to the report, the percentage of stressed employees increases to nearly 60%. Listen, hearing that 60% of employees are experiencing stress at work truly, truly, truly hurts my heart, especially when I believe I have a solution to help alleviate their burden. I'm getting emotional here because it is not, trust me, this is not that I am all knowing, that I have all the magical answers. I am not. I certainly do not have all of the magical answers. But the knowledge that I do have fuels my passion, fuels my determination to share my insight and strategies with as many people as possible. That is what drives me to spread this vital work so that together we can create healthier, more supportive workplaces where employees can thrive, not just survive, not just have a vacation from it. Now, as listeners and leaders, you are not immune. According to the report, leaders are impacted as well, with 25% experiencing burnout and 2/3 feeling, quote unquote, a lot of stress some of the time. Now, the major causes of stress, according to the report, are that employees are not having the tools and the materials to do their jobs effectively. And this is compounded by the perception that the employees have that the investments that are being made in the organizations that they work for are being made or placed in other areas rather than what the employee needs. So, what's the answer? Now, according to Gallup, workplaces need to change how people are managed at the organizational level and how we lead. And I agree. I absolutely agree. Organizations need to provide the tools to employees that are hired to do the work that they need to be doing. And I also know that there's so much more we could be doing on a human level. As leaders, you play a crucial role in transforming how people are managed. And my goal, or what I perceive my goal to be at this very moment of this recording, is to help to set you up for success. So, reflecting, I always begin with the end in mind. And part of that is reflecting. So, over my 37 years of a corporate experience, I have to tell you, I have to be honest with you, I often felt overwhelmed by challenges and stress. And I've experienced burnout myself. It wasn't until I applied mental fitness techniques that I saw a significant shift in my own ability to lead effectively and to support my team and others around me, my customers, my clients, etc. Because I know that when stressed, humans, when we perceive a threat, it's triggering a chemical reaction that is designed for us to help us avoid harm. This is the fight or flight or the freeze to appease response. It's a stress response. And during this reaction, our heart rate speeds up, our breathing becomes faster, our muscles tense up, and our blood pressure rises. And so, what does that mean? That means that for us, when we are quote unquote in it, right? Like when we're in it or we're feeling stressed, that we can't access the tools on the other side of our brain or the other side of our minds to help ourselves. And listen, I know I'm not talking to you for the first time about this. I'm confident that you have experienced this as many times as I have. So, this is why learning how to manage our mind is so crucial. We do not have to live and feel stressed continuously. We don't. We do create our own experiences, our own inner experiences, and we can learn to interrupt patterns of thinking and patterns of behaving that don't serve us. What we need now is not just leadership development, although that's wonderful and great, and we need that. But what I think we need now is mind management. So, what is that? Mind management is the skill of deliberately guiding and molding the thoughts and emotions that pass through your mind that will enable you to maintain a neutral perspective. This practice empowers you to control your inner world, influencing your actions, your behaviors, and your life outcome. Managing your mind is about regulating your emotions and your perceptions of people, places, things, and processes. Your mind is the culmination of your learnings, everything you've learned, everything you've experienced, everything you have been conditioned to believe. And with mind management, you can reset your system and view everything from a fresher, more unbiased perspective. Now, I also know that as I say this, it sounds easy and it takes work. So, speaking of work, I've talked about this before on the podcast, but I haven't gotten into detail. I want to introduce you intimately to Byron Katie's The Work. It is a powerful tool for raising awareness and managing your thoughts. So, what I want to do is take a thought that was cited in the Gallup 2024, I can't even speak. I want to take a thought that is cited in the 2024 Gallup Workplace Report. And that thought is, I'm so frustrated with the way things are going that you know what I'm going to do? Nothing. Now, this could be a thought that you have in your head at this very moment. And I'm not going to judge it because I've had it myself. I just want to have you think about like, how does that thought make you feel? I'm so frustrated with the way things are going that you know what I'm going to do? Nothing. Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel stuck? So, what I want to do now is I want to take that thought and let's break it down using the work so that you can begin to see how to use this as a tool for yourself. So, there are 4 questions. The first question is it true? Is it true that you will do nothing because you're frustrated? That's the first question. The second one is, can you absolutely know that it is true? Have there been times when frustration led you to something other than inaction? Maybe there's exceptions for you. The third question is, how do you react? So, how do you treat yourself and others when you believe this thought, right? This is where things like beating yourself up, overthinking, stressing, overanalyzing, outsourcing your opinions, your ideas, looking for validation, all those sorts of behaviors, that's what but that's how we end up to react when we think these thoughts that are not serving us. The fourth question is, who would you be without this thought? So here, think about like how would your experience change if you could not even think that frustration leads to doing nothing, right? So I love a great metaphor. So let's use one. If thoughts were trains and you were riding this thought train all day, it takes you to the land of venting, of blaming, of shaming, and judging. It takes you all the places that aren't good for you, for others, or the circumstances long term. And when the day ends, the situation still hasn't changed, but your experience and your time have been filled with frustration, which impacts you at home, it impacts you at work, it impacts you with you in relationship with you. And that's another reason why it is so important for us to learn how to help ourselves. Because what is good for us is good for those we love. And what's good for those we love is good for those we lead. Let's look at some reframes. Let's look at the opposite of the thought. Perhaps it's something along the lines of, I'm not so frustrated with the way things are going. You know what? I am going to do something. Then challenge yourself to find 3 examples of how you might not be as frustrated and could act despite the challenge. Because sometimes frustration builds up when we're too deeply immersed in a situation. So it could be that you decide to take a step back. Give yourself some time, some space to reflect on what's causing your frustration. This could be a short break. It could be a walk outside. It could be engaging in a different activity in order to clear your mind and allow yourself to calm down. Frustration often arises from feeling powerless or feeling stuck. So take stock of the situation and identify, are there any aspects that you have control over? Of course there are. And then focus your energy on those things rather than dwelling on things outside of your control. This shift can help you regain a sense of agency, a sense of purpose. Now, it's totally okay also. Perhaps another thing you want to do is to reach out to someone else for some support or some feedback. Talking to a friend, a mentor, a trusted colleague can really help you to get a fresh perspective and possibly solutions that you haven't considered for yourself. Sometimes discussing your frustration with someone else can lighten the emotional burden and can feel really good for you when you're in a time like that. Like even just allowing yourself to get it out of your system can make it feel so much better. These steps and others like it can help you navigate and alleviate some of the frustration you're feeling. It's normal to feel frustrated at times, and also finding constructive ways to address it can lead to a positive outcome. Unlike just sitting there with the frustration, which isn't helping anybody, especially you. Now, I have clients that I work with where they'll tell me I want to vent, and I'm like, okay, we can do that. How long do you want to vent? Tell me how long, and then I'll set a timer, and we'll come back. So I'm making light of this because you are a human. We are all humans, and there are ways that we can learn to help ourselves. Now, let's look at the perspective of ourselves. So, what this might sound like is something like, well, I'm so frustrated with myself, right? Which means that I have created this for myself. There's an awareness here. So, it can be super useful to pinpoint exactly what aspects of yourself are causing frustration. Is it your action? Is it your behavior? Is it a decision? Is it a habit you have? Or is it your internal dialogue and how you perceive things? So if you're noticing this is an opportunity to practice self-compassion, especially if you're beating yourself up, instead of judgment, and treat yourself like you would a friend. Listen, frustration is a normal emotion and it's a part of our growth, but it's almost as though we need to become so frustrated with what we're experiencing in the moment in order to catapult us or catalyze us to do something different, right? So if you can zoom out and consider what triggers your frustration, are there recurring patterns or situations that might be leading to those feelings of frustrations for you? right? Then asking yourself, like, okay, that's what I feel. Now what? What do I want to do about it? Because let's face it, you can keep doing things the way you have, or you can make a change. And if you're listening to this podcast, this tells me that you have a desire. So let's be sure that if you do have a desire for change, let's make sure you're giving yourself some realistic expectations and that what you're wanting to create and have in your world, in your leadership is achievable for you. Now, the last reframe is about the circumstance. And what this might sound like is something like along the lines of, I'm so frustrated with the way things are going that you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to do something about the circumstance. So consider some examples where frustration has spurred you into action before or could do so either now or in the future. So maybe you can identify a list of things you can do, and from there, make a plan, take action, assess, and adjust, right? Something that you could be doing here. I mean, you might decide, I can't change the circumstance, and everything that I've tried that, and if that feels true for you, that you've turned over every stone, that you've tried all of the things that you can try, maybe the thing that for you can do is to think about, okay, do I need to look for another job? Sometimes changing the circumstance can be useful, and sometimes it can't be because how you get there will be how you'll be there, right? So if I'm frustrated now and I'm running away from my circumstance, the energy of which that I'm doing that is very different than if I take the time to calm myself, manage my mind, get really clear on the thoughts here, what I can control, take action from that energy. That is a very, very different version of you that shows up looking for work, right? So tools like the work and mindset tools and self-regulation tools, all of them collectively, individually, can empower you to manage stress and foster a more positive workplace environment. Just imagine applying these insights and these tools when faced with team conflicts or strategic setbacks, because those things are going to happen anyway. As a human, as a leader, managing frustration has been my life's work. Let me tell you, in my last corporate role, I felt these thoughts and feelings despite being a coach. And then I discovered the work of positive intelligence and mental fitness. It's almost like I lived a life before mental fitness and I lived a life after mental fitness. And what's important for you to know about that is within a few months of committing to the practice, which involved a few minutes, 4 times a day, it was just a couple of minutes. I just calmly centered myself. I grounded myself in my body. I took a few deep breaths. It changed my life. I've done episodes on this before. You can go back and listen to those. You can search mental fitness, it'll pop up. But I realized that I had created my own frustration and that I could change it by altering my thought trains. This clarity allowed me to make decisions and choices that supported who I wanted to be in the world, which led me toward a more satisfying life. So if we want things to change, it starts with others, with us. We have to take responsibility for our minds, responsibility and ownership for our choices. We have to decide not to live stressed out lives. To change how we lead, we have to recognize the impact and change our thoughts, beginning with neutralizing. Like things are 50-50 out there. There will always be good, there will always be bad. Life can be for you or life can be against you. But it's our thoughts about all of those circumstances that create the felt sense that we're experiencing. Now, as a human species, we have got to begin to learn how to get off of these thought trains that take us nowhere and consciously board those thought trains that serve our lives and our missions. Why? Why do we need to do this? Because it's possible. And At the time of this recording, I believe it's one of the reasons why I am here, which is to help you decide to lead a more satisfying life because it's available to you. And who wouldn't want to live a more beautiful or more satisfying life? All you need to do is choose. That's it. You just need to choose. Choose you. Choose to deliberately choose a conscious choice that will be in better service of your good, your experience, your legacy, your life, your leadership, your family. I could keep going. And if this is work that you want to do with me and you're ready to step out of your own narrative and create a new one to step into, connect with me and we'll see if we're a fit. But I just want to leave you with this, like truly, truly, you are worth changing the experiencing that you're having. If you are walking through life stressed out, I promise you, because this is what I help people do every day, you can learn to walk through life more skillfully and feel confident, feel good about it as you do it. So that's it for today. I want to say thank you so much for listening to the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with others. And remember, changing how we lead begins with leading ourselves. So until next week, take care and keep leading with purpose and compassion. I'll see you back here, same time next week. Have a great one. Hey, leader. Thanks for tuning in to the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. I hope today's episode inspired you to embrace your authentic leadership journey. I want to invite you to join my mailing list at www.cynthiajamiesoncoach.ca and claim your copy of Your Inner Compass, a guide to charting your course to authenticity. This guide will help you understand what truly matters most to you. My vision is to empower individuals to live and lead lives in harmony with their core values, become catalysts for positive change, and navigate transitions, all while fostering connection and belonging in the world. Lastly, your feedback shapes this show, so I would be honored if you would subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you so much for being a part of this community dedicated to authentic leadership. Together, let's make a meaningful difference in this world.